Hello, ladies. Welcome to another episode of Daring Woman Podcast, brought to you by Daring Woman, today's Daring Woman magazine, and the Daring Woman Project, as well as Beautiful Lady, which is an amazing book about our COO, Jerry Westfall's cancer journey. And she takes you through her journey, but also helps you with your journey as well. So if you are walking that path, or you know somebody walking that path, make sure you go over to daringwomaninc.com/pinkladies and get your free copy of Jerry's book. It will really, really help support you. Excuse me. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, who knows what we're going to talk about? You know me. I never know where these shows are going to go. But we're going to start out with some health challenges that our guest has had to deal with, and how that has kind of shaped and sculpted her life. And we'll see where it takes us. So with me today is Kim Durham. Did I say that right? I forgot to ask you how to pronounce your last name.
That's correct, actually. I think you were one of the first people who's pronounced it correctly by the first off.
And it's actually Dr. Kim Durham, isn't it?
It is.
You are a medical doctor. So you were an emergency physician, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's a whole different show. I'm sure the stories you could tell us. Probably nothing you haven't seen or heard or experienced.
It definitely brings you into a space of deep compassion for humanity in these spaces of like our deepest pain or anguish or fear, or like all of it. And it can be really beautiful to meet people in that space. And it certainly deepens you, and it has deepened me. I
couldn't even begin to imagine. You see stuff on TV, but it's not the full reality of what you would experience. These shows like ER and Grey's Anatomy, and they're all Hollywood versions of what it looks like. I'm sure.
Yeah, there's not as much like falling in love with everyone around you and drama.
Who has time, right? When you're busy, repairing, squirting blood wounds and stuff like that. But, So, but, you actually had to overcome your own health challenges. You have an autoimmune disorder, correct?
I had an autoimmune disorder. I don't have that.
Oh, I like
it all anymore.
I like that. I like the had part of it, because most of us, once we get it, we keep it.
It's funny. It's such a funny thing, because our immune system is constantly changing and coming into a new state and aligning. I mean, that's, we get sick and you never have the same immune system again, in a good way, because now your immune system is smarter or more capable. But it's funny. It's true. I never thought of it that way, that most people, when they have an autoimmune disorder, they own it like it's for life. And it's funny. It's not true in any way, shape, or form medically. And certainly was something that never occurred to me. I was very aware when I was diagnosed that was the state my body was in that moment, or in that case, it was like over a year. But I never believed for a second that it meant anything about the future or what was true for me in general. And I think that's part of why I healed so quickly and released that pattern that I was in. And then my immune system balanced out and harmonized and no longer had that inflammatory pattern.
So I'm really intrigued, because, like you said, once we get something like an autoimmune disorder or diabetes or whatever, it's okay. This is my new identity. I have fibromyalgia. I have lupus. I have whatever it is, and this is now my identity. This is now who I am.
You have to have a lot of compassion for people who are in that situation, because it's like, you ever try to take it away from someone and they'll like fight you for it. No, you can't take that away from me. But the reason is that we do that is we need to be acknowledged for how hard it's been, or how hard it's worked, or how much we've had to overcome. And I know as a practitioner, when I've kind of invited people to a new possibility of being free from disease, you have to make sure that that's actually what they're ready for. And it sounds like, well, that's silly. What, everyone must be ready for it. But sometimes we haven't really received what we need in order to leave it behind. like, oh, hey, it's just all in your head. Everything's fine. And you don't have a real disease. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not true. And we know it's not true. And so we kind of almost want to hang on to it to show I really have worked really hard. This really has been a huge challenge for me, and you can't discount that. But at the same time, can we move beyond it once we've integrated that, once we've acknowledged, I love, honor, and appreciate myself for all the challenge this has been and how real this has been. It's not that it's not real just because we can change. But can I let myself receive the gift of knowing that and appreciating myself in that so that it's easier for me to let it go?
I like that. And that works with a lot of different areas. I know you and I touched before the show started a little bit on anxiety and depression. And, I'm one of those that have dealt with depression on and off for years. I go on and off my medications, and it's just one of those things. But the way you're saying it is, it doesn't have to be just one of those things.
Correct. Yes. In fact, the way we experience depression has everything to do with whether we move through it and beyond it, or whether we continue to revisit over and over and get stuck in it. And for me, for sure, it was a pattern for me for many years of this like heaviness and dread. And it was also embarrassing. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But
Right.
when I came into a new relationship with what I was feeling emotionally, it could shift. It could shift actually really quickly. So then it didn't get like this stuck thing where it was like, oh, now I'm in this depression. It could be something that would move through very fluidly, sometimes in seconds or minutes, instead of something I was resisting or trying to fix or understand or trying to overcome, because all of those things just keep us stuck in that emotional state.
So it's a lot of it, I think, goes with, I'm going to go woo-woo, ladies. We're going to talk about neuro-linguistic programming here for a second, which is where, and Kim, I'm sure you can probably explain this much better than me, but basically it's, when we have the same thoughts over and over and over again, they literally burn paths into our brain, which makes it easier to have those same thoughts over and over and over again. And when we try to change those thoughts, it feels weird. It feels different. It's like going into a brand new neighborhood and you don't see anything that you recognize. It's that initial uncomfortableness that we have.
Well, and it's funny to realize that our thoughts and our emotions are so connected, and that they create so much of what's happening physically. Right. So it's not that the thoughts are separate from how we feel, or how we feel is not a physical phenomenon. All of our emotions are chemical states in the body, and our emotions do affect every cell in the body and powerfully inhibit health or support health. So even our DNA expression, our genetic expression is very much a part of what's happening in our thoughts and in our emotions. And if we're in these practiced patterns, it kind of like, this is what happened for me when I had that autoimmune illness. It kept me in that pattern of pain and fatigue, because I kind of kept running the thoughts of, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? There's a problem. There's a problem. I don't understand it. And also fear. I was so afraid of what was going on in my body. I was afraid it would get worse. I was afraid I would fail and never be able to do what I wanted to do in life. I was a medical student at the time. I was afraid like I'd forever be inept, incompetent, or like a failure. And so then it's all my own thoughts and ideas and beliefs and judgments about what that meant. Thoughts and beliefs and ideas and judgments about myself. And that's really what came into play, was this idea, I'm not enough, I have to do more. I'm not enough, I have to work harder. I'm not enough, I can't stop. I have to keep going. And so then comes in this like chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's like, oh my God, it's all true. I really have to push through this. I really have to be better. I really have to keep going. But what was actually required was for me to let go of all those things I believed or thought, and to be willing to love all of it and love myself. And it was, like airy fairy bumper sticker. That sounds really nice, but it was very hard work to truly love and embrace the illness and how I was feeling, which was fear and inadequate and maybe shame or embarrassment. How do we embrace that, right? And so it was the journey of moving through that. And my body responded almost immediately. The fatigue was gone. The imbalance and the autoimmune imbalance was gone. The chronic pain was gone. All of it within a very short period of time. But it was, over a year that it kind of took me to awaken to that. I kept fighting it.
And I think the fighting is probably very natural, just for me. And it is hard to embrace those emotions and those thoughts. I've been working on it myself recently. Launching a new company is exciting, but it's scary as hell. And I just recently let go of my largest client, which is like probably 90% of my current income until Daring Woman starts making money. And it was like, oh man, I really needed to let them go energetically, but financially, not so much. So I keep getting that fear talking to me.
Yes.
And this is like totally not related to medical or anything, but in a way it kind of is, because then the fear triggers anxiety, then it triggers depression, and then it triggers this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, next thing I know, I'm binge eating, because that's what I do. And so, so I've been really focused on, okay, fear, you do have a place here. You are making some incredibly valid points. Thank you. But we need to hold the faith that everything's going to be okay. And that the universe is going to send us what we need.
Yes.
And I've had to literally just say that to myself. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out. And ladies, if you haven't seen this movie, you totally have to watch it, because it's the cutest little cartoon ever. So I picture these cartoon characters in my head as my emotions. So I'm literally talking to fear, and seeing him in from the Inside Out movie, and that helps, actually. I'm like, you need to let joy take back over the control stick again.
Yes. Well,
so yeah,
the powerful thing about that movie that's so pertinent to depression and anxiety and all of these things. In that movie, it's, because they have joy, and it's like, oh, joy is the best thing. And then there's these other characters that are there for various purposes, but they can't figure out sadness. Like, what's wrong with sadness? And this young girl is just coming into puberty, and sadness is like going out of control. All of a sudden, just in the middle of nothing, she brings up this sad emotion, and everyone's like, oh my God, we got to sequester sadness. Let's just keep you in the circle, and you just stay here and don't mess anything up. But then, one thing leads to another. It can't be contained. And there are these major journey that joy and sadness go on. But the story illustrates the purpose of sadness, and how profound and how beautiful and how valuable, because sadness deepens joy.
Right.
And as this young girl's going from, her childhood, which is mostly joy, coming into a much deeper experience of joy, which is what we all go into as women, to really to varying degrees. Like, how much joy are you going to let yourself experience versus staying in the control? I got to control sadness. I got to control my emotions. I got to control myself so I can do this thing and manage it. And here's my little inkling of joy I get over here, versus I'm going to let myself be fully and completely unleashed, which is exactly what's required for health. And allow myself to embrace all of my emotions and all of the things I don't even understand about who I am and what's coming through me that I can't understand, but to let them move through fluidly so that I can be more fully alive. And that's what opens us to health and like freaking unbelievable, like you're seeing the opportunities that can happen in expansion of business or money or love and relationship. And we have to be the invitation for our own yes, which is kind of, if you think of the masculine feminine dynamic, it's the woman who invites the man into himself and invites the man into a deeper experience of everything. And if it's a woman who's truly celebrating herself and willing to dance with all of her emotions and willing to let all of life course through her and be expressed, that is an amazing invitation for all of the things that make you come fully alive.
Oh, I love that. I love that we have to be the invitation for our own yes. I totally just wrote that down so that I could make sure I create some kind of a quote image around this and credit you with it, because I was like, oh yes, that is exactly right. We have to take control, but you have to figure out how to allow the emotions to intermingle. And like with the movie,
yeah.
And again, if you haven't watched this movie, go watch the movie. You're gonna love it. But the thoughts, the memories are all these little balls, and they're different colors based on the emotion. And so they were all solid different colors. Well, by the end of the movie, they started intermixing colors. So it was, here's an emotion that has happy, sad built into it, or disgust, or yeah, exactly. And so we have to do the same thing. We have to learn how to allow our emotions to intermingle with one another without overriding the whole, like taking over. They have to, it doesn't have to just be joy and control. It could be anger for a moment, and then disgust, and then joy.
And it's also not about control. As soon as
exactly
we control, what that is the suppression of fear. Control is always about fear. And so we actually get more of what we fear. So if you were in this space now where you're like, wow, I know I got to let this client go, but you stay in the space of like, touch your body, it's okay to let go of this fear. Body, I know the conclusions we've made about this, and we are moving into something more expansive, and it's okay to let this go. Your body will begin to release those old programming, but you, not from control, but from receiving, will allow what is coming in, because you have the awareness on some level of the awesomeness coming in. And when you connect with that awesomeness or that expansion or that yes, that's the exact thing that has you say, I got to let that client go. It's not your mind, because your mind's like, wait a minute, that's money, that's this, that's that, we got to do that. Yeah. But your inner heart knows, like, no, there's something bigger, and I am choosing that. But right now it's in the unseen. So you only can connect with it through feeling it and knowing it. And then you invite it into your body. Just invite your body to release the fear. Now there's no need for control. It's about receiving. Like that new thing, whatever that looks like in your business, is going to come in. You're not going to control it. You're not going to create it. You're not going to make it happen. Trying to do so is going to actually prevent it. Or
exactly. Oh gosh. Yes.
So can you just keep being the invitation for like, I know there's something bigger here, and I'm willing to go through this fear to allow myself to receive that. Right.
So, this guy goes into like the law of attraction a little bit, and when I was first dabbling with the law of attraction and trying to figure this whole thing out, my control freak side just wanted to take over, and it was like, okay, so I want to do this, and I want to earn this, or I want this to happen in my life, but this is how I want it to happen. So I was like trying to tell the universe, this is what you need to do, as opposed to just saying, okay, this is the end result that I want to see. Just, make it happen. I don't care how.
Which is the power.
Yeah.
Necessarily the result, what it actually is, which is even more magical. It's, what do I get to experience when I have that result? So I have a great story about this with my relationship, where I was, approaching 40, didn't have kids, didn't have my partner. And I was pretty hurt and devastated because of all of the relationship drama, or lost loves and broken hearts and blah, 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 blah. And I understood, and it was sort of along that law of attraction, which now I no longer really see it that way at all. Because it's not attraction so much as I can just be the invitation. It's already here. If I'm the invitation, I experience it. If I'm trying to attract it, I'm still in separation from it. And so what I was doing was trying to like love myself. And I know if I love myself, then I'll get my guy. So it was like, love myself. Okay, where's my guy? And so it was still this putting him first, or putting the result first, and abandoning myself. It wasn't a love myself for the sheer joy of getting to freaking love this amazing woman that I am, and discover and uncover and explore and experience the unthinkable amazingness of me. It wasn't that. It was a means to an end.
Right.
Because I wanted that result. And I was like, oh, when I have that, yes, then there will be this fulfillment. But I wasn't being the fulfillment. I wasn't in the fulfillment right now. It was conditional. And until I got that, obviously it was just more disappointment and more heartbreak, and it was awful. And when I finally got that, oh my God, not only did he no longer matter, like, geez, it'll show up, it won't show up, it's irrelevant. But I felt like unconditionally amazing and joyful, and a sense of love and confidence in every single moment. Like, it was already there. And part of me thought that would be, oh, well, if I already have that completeness, then I won't go for more. But that's a total lie. It invited in this amazing man who's now my husband and my divine partner and my life partner, and our, the father to my children. And we have this incredible partnership, and it's not a partnership based on security. It's a partnership based on expansion, constantly inviting in more love, more joy, more intimacy, more appreciation. Mm-hmm. And more comes in on, oh my gosh, every day is like a miraculous adventure. And holy cow, I can't imagine if I had found someone from that space of incompletion and then kind of tried to make it work from there, and been kind of, I almost did that with all my relationships, because I just worked so hard at it and I did not believe in quitting. So I had to begin to believe in myself.
I love it. And once you did that, look at what happened. Once you get out of your own way, you will be surprised at what happens.
Yeah. And it has to be real, because like your body knows the difference between the conditional, I love myself, so why haven't I healed? What's going on? I love myself, why hasn't he shown up? Well, if you're actually still looking for the result and feeling unfulfilled, it's because you haven't committed fully to the embodiment of who you are.
Right.
So when I still needed that completion, it's because there were parts of me that still needed to be met by me. So I let everything be an invitation. I let all my pain or fear be an invitation to go deeper with presence to myself.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with me today and sharing this with us. Totally not the direction I expected the call to go in. And that's what I love so much about not scripting these calls.
Yeah.
I never know where it's going to go. And usually what happens is the topic is either something that I need to hear personally, or, it's, you need to get out. It's your message that you needed to say today or something. So I love letting these flow. How can we reach you? How can we learn more about you?
Like we were saying, I used to be an ER doc, but I've always been very, very intuitive, like highly intuitive. And that was very useful medically, very useful in the ER. Yeah. But I had, obviously like a desire to really make a difference in a deeper level of helping people embrace health, not just not die or get out of pain emergently. So I created a whole new way of practicing, more aligned with mind, body medicine, and self-healing. I'm at drkimd.com. And my work is now, it's international. I've helped and seen people all over the planet on Skype or in my group programs, or I wrote a book called The Mind Body Solution. You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at drkimd.com. I have an ebook version of it that goes with a program that I created. But it's been so expansive beyond my wildest dreams, from, 10 years ago thinking I would just have these affirmations of I'm doing what I'm best at and what comes naturally to me, and others are receiving it, and it's making all the difference in my world. And it was this affirmation where I was like, oh my God, is that just BS? Can that actually happen? That I do what comes naturally, what I love, and that what I'm best at, and it makes a difference to others. And what would that even look like? I can't even, that's such a pipe dream. But it, at the same time, kept coming through my heart over and over. And it was like, oh, I've got to find a way to connect with this. So, I've recreated my entire career based on that inner calling of the heart, that, it feels like this little ridiculous whisper of like, am I crazy? And they're like, does this mean anything? Or am I just like silly and maybe I just don't want to work hard? But thankfully I listened to that. And
you almost have to work harder though, actually.
Oh gosh. To overcome your fears, that was the biggest thing. And it created so much for me. Especially in my career where people now will just see me immediately know, like, I heard you talk, I saw you on YouTube, and I immediately knew I needed to work with you. And I had a woman fly from Bali, like come from the other side of the world and come for a private retreat with me. And she knew, like, this is what I have been looking for, and it resonated. But that resonance, it requires that we operate in our fullness, not in our fear. And, you know, years back when I was kind of like trying to do this work or trying to make something happen, it didn't have the same resonance. So it was a matter of me more fully stepping into it, even though I didn't understand and it didn't make sense. And my mind was like, what? Listening to that calling and let life be created. So now, like I said, I work only online. I see people through Skype, or I create tons of videos on YouTube all the time, and I share with people all over the world, and it fills me up like nobody can believe. Like if I have a day where I'm a little off, or I'm in my own stuff, or I'm feeling heaviness, I'm like, oh, and then I work with a client, like I feel like I just had the healing session of my life. And I receive as I contribute to others. It's totally different from what a lot of healers do, where we are depleted as we contribute to others. Like, oh my God, I'm taking on everyone's energy, and I'm so energy sensitive. And how do I put a bubble, and how do I protect myself? And I used to try to figure that out, and it never really opened up for me what I'm connecting with now and living fully and fearlessly. Or it's not that I'm fearless, but I embrace the fear and let it move through and allow it and invite it, so that I can let everything happen. So I think as women, and I love that this is Daring Women podcast, because we are sisters and we inspire each other and we invite each other into our wholeness. And the more we awaken, the more we can invite other women to awaken. And then the more whole our own world is. Like that what's better than that is how we awaken men. I mean, my husband's a big proponent of that. And he says it all the time. Women are the spiritual leaders of the planet. And he's hugely grateful, even though he doesn't always like it, for what, for what opens up between us and what it invites him to see and be. So we're all here to awaken ourselves and to awaken each other and to inspire, others by cherishing ourselves, by honoring ourselves, by being sensual, by connecting with just the pleasure of being alive. Nothing is more powerful than a fully alive woman willing to experience all of herself. So let's be that.
Absolutely. That is the perfect place to end this. So thank you so much for that and for coming on again. And listeners, ladies, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you go watch Inside Out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, go watch it again.
Oh, and I also invite people. I have a group in Facebook called the Mind Body Community.
Oh, okay.
And you're welcome to come and join me over there. There's always a great conversation. And my site is drkimd.com, but the community in Facebook is Mind Body Community, and I would love to have you join.
Sounds great. Thank you. All right, ladies, we will talk to you on the next show. Have a great one.